search and rescue, but they have already some military capabilities implemented on their aircraft for light military missions. 4 aircraft operate in Britain and 2 operate in the south of France. So as I said, the program is running. We have 3 years of deliveries behind us. We are in a full industrial ramp-up, and you see behind you number 100 in production already, number 101, 102 there. And this is not the beginning of the story, because this is the final assembly line. Before this, we have steps before working on the airframe, and we are already some numbers already above 100, close to 110. Okay. So we are now in a running mode, and we are still ramping up the production to meet the demand of our customers, to meet the market request, because the aircraft is quite successful. Main markets for this aircraft, the oil and gas market. The aircraft has started to fly already some months ago for PHI in the Gulf of Mexico. The aircraft is already flying also for oil and gas missions in Brazil. And we will have soon, I will not further comment, but we will have soon other customers flying this aircraft in the world of the oil and gas. It's going to come in the coming weeks. Yeah, which is a great news for us. The helicopter is very appreciated. It's a step more in all the safety features that this aircraft can bring. And in terms of economic competitiveness, this aircraft has a great advantage compared to the competition.
Is that fresh orders or from leasing companies?
We have a mix of customers purchasing the aircraft, and we have also customers relying on leasing solutions. So we have contracts with end customers, we also have contracts with lessors. They are fully part of the ecosystem, and they are providing solutions to some customers. I will not comment further on the detailed opportunities we may be having for the near future.
You said that the flight hours are 15,000.
Yeah.
How many you mentioned the aircrafts, helicopters? Sorry.
A bit more than 50 aircraft already delivered and in service.
Great. Thank you very much.
So the main missions, I'll say the oil and gas. Second mission on which the aircraft is quite well performing is all the private and business aviation. So for corporate missions, for VIP missions, we have different configurations with steps more and more, let's say, advanced for VIP customers. And the aircraft is doing well, is well appreciated for that. We have a market segment in what we call EMS, which is also on which the aircraft is quite, let's say, impactful on the market. When we have the public services segment, public services, our first customer will be French Gendarmerie. We will probably see an aircraft just after on the runway, with deliveries that are going to start in the coming weeks with our customer. Then, obviously, there is a military segment, and the military segment here we speak about the Guépard. The aircraft has been sold. The Guépard has been sold to the French DGA in 2011, and we are in the phase of designing the militarization of this aircraft. We passed design reviews with our customers. We've made already a lot of preliminary testing, in particular on the system bench that we have here in Marignane. We integrate all the systems all together. They mature on the system benches, and we are building prototypes. So the first prototype, I think you're all aware, it made its first flight in July, on the 18th of July, and we had a ceremony. Some of you were here on the 24th of July to celebrate this event. So this helicopter is already flying. It's been flying since end of July, as I said. We've already opened the flight envelope for speed, so we've achieved what we call VNE already, and we've started to test the general behavior. We started to test all the vibrations topic, and we're going to continue until end of January with a lot of things linked to navigation, linked to thermal behavior of the different equipment in the aircraft, cooling, etc., aerodynamic, air data, and basic avionics, etc. So this is part of all the tests we're going to be doing now and until mid-January. So an intense flight campaign. Then this aircraft will continue its test in 2026. It will be dedicated to mission, testing all the mission systems and the integration of the different sensors, effectors in the system. And in parallel, we are building other prototypes. So the second prototype is being assembled. It will fly in the coming months. I will not be more precise on the exact date, but it's gonna come. It's a question of months. It did in the summer. It performed some lightning tests. Lightning meaning if you fly in a storm, we have to make sure the aircraft behaves adequately. So it's been tested successfully. So now we are on the finalization of the assembly. Then we need to do all the testing and put it in flight. So still some months ahead of us before the first flight. This second aircraft will be dedicated to what we call the vehicle testing. So it will do all the testing for the flight loads to determine the life duration of all the components in the aircraft. It will do the cold campaign, hot campaign, etc., etc. So a lot of activities on the vehicle itself. And then we'll have a third prototype, which will be more dedicated to Navy specificities. So it has few design differences to accommodate the tactical radar of the Navy, to integrate the harpoon, a bit more structural reinforcement, to be able to absorb the loads of the landing on ships in harsh conditions, because the Navy has put heavy requirements for the helicopter to fly in difficult conditions. It's a real naval helicopter, and the Guépard. It's not an helicopter that will be able to fly on a ship, but only in good conditions. We really have an advanced naval solution. So this third helicopter with a bit more specificities will be flying a bit longer. This will be in 2027. So as of today, the tests are running quite well. The maturity of all the flights we've been doing with the first prototype is honestly outstanding. And this is due to all the activities we did before, so on the system bench. But also, I didn't mention, we flew already since 2023 with a civilian H160 that we modified a little bit on some defined areas to make sure the global behavior and the aerodynamics would be fine. And now it pays off because we have something which is quite valid and we can execute our testing campaign as we were expecting. And that's quite good, actually. So it gives us a lot of confidence in the next steps for the program. For the main program milestones, so we intend to have the first deliveries for the Army in 2028, and Navy will be 2 years after, and the Air Force will be in 2032. Not because we're not able to do them before, but because the replacement of the helicopters for the Air Force, we're talking about the Fennec here, is less urgent than the other armies. For Army, they're going to replace the Gazelle. And for the Navy, they're going to replace the Alouette, the Dauphin, and the Panthère. So Alouette is quite old, Gazelle is quite old. There are needs here which are important. Speaking about the Navy, also just to mention, for the French forces, the HIL is intended to fly on some boats which are frigates, FDI frigates, which are manufactured in France. And the frigates are under manufacturing, and the HIL is supposed to be the aircraft on which it will be flying. I think there was one delivery of a frigate to Greece over the last days, the same model. And the HIL is designed to operate on that precise type of frigates. So France is receiving the frigates. There is an expectation to receive the HIL on the frigate also soon. It gives also momentum to the program. What else? In terms of preparation for the production, so some of you were here months and years before. Here we had the H175 assembly line on this side of the building, and now that you see that there's no 175 anymore, it has moved to another building. This is because we need to free some space in order to accommodate the ramp-up of the production of the 160 for civilian applications and for military applications. So we have the line that you see here. I will comment a bit more the line afterwards. This line is really optimized. You see, it's industrially speaking, we have a step change in the way we assemble, we manufacture our helicopters. I will comment a bit more, but it's not enough. This line is okay for 35 to 40 helicopters per year, and as of today, our intention is to have 60. 60. Why? Because we have the French HIL, and as per our contract with the French authorities, the number of deliveries per year shall be 20 per year. We have all the export markets for the H160M, and we do have a lot of customers interested in the product, and we have the civilian markets. And for the civilian markets, our intention is to have, on a very short term, 30 deliveries per year, and a bit more. We want to raise to 40 helicopters per year. So all in all, we see that 40 helicopters per year is not enough, so we want to extend. How are we going to do this? We're going to extend the building. So what you see here at the back will be destroyed, and the building will be extended. And we're going to use the space at the back of the building and this space here to add additional production slots. Okay. Our intention is to keep the same ecosystem of production for the civilian and military versions. We don't want to have a civilian line and a military line. For us, we want to take advantage of the duality of the program to be resilient to market fluctuations. Okay. We may have, you know, the helicopter market is not always stable, so we want to be able to be resilient to the demand and to be able to manufacture more civilian or more military. So what we are thinking is to keep, obviously, our optimized production line with all the benefits that it has, and complement this with stations that are going to be able to have all kinds of missions: civilian, military, public service, any kind of helicopters of H160. So it's currently being thought, being designed. We don't have yet the final outcome, but it's clearly something we have in our plans because we need to accommodate the ramp-up. You see the empty space that some of you saw beginning of September is not empty anymore. What we have here is a finalization. We have the aircraft manufactured, assembled on this line, and then once we reach the end of the assembly itself, of the testing, we go in a finalization slots in order to go to flight line. So this is the activity we're doing. Okay. Maybe a few words on the assembly process, if you like. So maybe I shall move and we can look at the other side of the aircraft. So basically our industrial model is based on what we call site specialization. This is a model we implemented with the H160, but which is also deployed on other products of our range in Airbus helicopters. In Germany, we are specialized to do all the composite manufacturing, so all the airframe, and actually we do more than the airframe. We already we produce the parts, we assemble the airframe, and we also assemble the first level of maturity of, let's say, of the basic systems. So we integrate the fuel, we integrate the flight controls, and we also integrate the electrical harnesses for everything which is in the fuselage of the helicopter. So the aircraft is called an MCA, a major component assembly. It's not only an airframe, it's an equipped airframe with things which are more or less standard. Fuel system is standard, flight controls are standard, or for the electrical harnesses, already a part of integration in the airframe, which is already done there. We have the main gearbox and the main rotor that are manufactured in another hangar of the Marignane factory, and it comes here as one part. So you see here the part just arrived, and it's ready to be fitted as one part on the helicopter. We have another activity to do the avionic base, okay, including the cockpit. If you take the old example of manufacturing aircraft, we had before the structure of the cockpit, then we installed in final assembly line the harnesses, then we install the equipment, and then we test. The model of the 160 is not the same. The airframe comes with nothing. We have the structure of the cockpit that is manufactured in a hangar, specific hangar. We assemble the harnesses on that part, all the equipment on that part. We test all this. Around 25% of the harnesses of the full helicopter are in the cockpit. Okay. So when it's finished, we know it works, and we put this piece as one part inside the helicopter. Okay. I will show it to you afterwards. It has just been done on the helicopter, which is at the end of the line, so I will be able to show you a bit. And this is the general philosophy, and it's the same for the other avionic base. So we wanted a system to be efficient for production. And this is also the model we will use for the military version. It helps us to be very efficient, to save time. And it's a moving line. Okay. At the moment, we are still ramping up. So at the moment, we are not at the target we want to reach, but we are getting close to the target we want to reach. We're getting close. The target will be, well, I will not say the target, but we're getting close. But if you compare to the former range of former way to manufacture the helicopter, we divide by a bit more than 2 the lead time for the assembly line. And that's what you shall remember. You divide by 2 the assembly lead time. And this is due to the tools we're having, and it's due to the way we have designed the helicopter. As I said, with sub-assemblies, with MCAs, these concepts enables us to be in the final assembly line, assembling parts of Legos, okay, that already have a certain degree of maturity. When we install the cockpit, it's finished and we know it works. So there's no bad surprise when we put the power on. Okay, we just have to connect the part with the rest of the harnesses. So it's much, for us, it's much more, let's say, resilient. The blades are manufactured in Paris, and the tail boom is coming from Spain. So when all these parts are done, the helicopter enters here, and we assemble the helicopter. And you see with visually with the line that we have a great degree of ergonomy. We are able to work in full ergonomy and with a great degree of safety on the mechanical floor. So the part up the aircraft, in the aircraft and below the aircraft, we have all the system in order to avoid having our people bending or lying down under the aircraft. So it's really done to be convenient, and this is for the benefit of the work we'll be doing, and this is to the benefit of the quality of what we are going to deliver to our customers. It's faster, and we are doing a better job with this industrial model. So indeed it's a moving line. So the retraction system on that could have been feasible, but with also impacts on the weight, on the complexity, and we preferred, it's been a trade-off to keep the landing gear fixed. It has indeed a small impact on drag, but not so much. Honestly, we've been doing the test before confirming that option. We've been doing the test on a civilian prototype in 2023, where we simulated the increased drag, and we could verify that we are talking about few knots and really not so many. In France, the Air Force is quite interested in speed, so we discussed with Air Force, and it ended up being the right compromise.
Isn't that competitive to the NH90 naval version? I mean, okay, they're different somehow in the size, but isn't competitive to each other? How do you face that?
The NH90 is an excellent aircraft of 11 tons, and the Guépard is an excellent aircraft of 6 tons. Both are excellent in naval configurations. One thing the NH90 has that the H160 doesn't have is, as of today, the capacity for ASW missions. The NH90 has a sonar and is able to do ASW missions. It's not planned today for France. It was not part of the program. Nevertheless, we are thinking on extending the capabilities of the Guépard and integrating a light anti-submarine solutions. We're thinking about it.
Thank you.
That 2027 target to have the M's join the production line, are you not worried that might snarl up the line to an extent?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. 2027 first
To
will
get
enter.
the M's into the production line.
Yeah.